Detroit, welcome to the D, baby.
313 Detroit's love, the Motor City. Detroit's love, can't nothing stop me. Detroit's love, I love my city. Detroit's love.
When you know you're from Detroit. Welcome to another episode, Middle Ground with JLE L.L.C, where we treat you like family. Have another amazing guest for you today. Make sure I say it right. We have ophthalmologist, psychotherapist, author of Physician on Fire, host of the Surgical Spirit podcast, Dr. Haidar Al-Hakim, MBBS London, MRCOPHTH, SNHSDip. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Jeffrey. That's quite that's quite an introduction, I must say.
I gotta bring you out right.
So, I mean, I'm interested, Jeffrey. What made you sort of reach out to me and wanting me to come on here and speak to you on this fine evening here in the UK?
I would say since God has me on this journey to interview amazing people making strides in their career, to share their story, to inspire someone to find their purpose or start again, I get like a spider sense. Like I might come across people on LinkedIn, I read through and like, this one will work. It's weird to see, man.
Yeah. It's that spider sense, isn't it? It's something that attracts you, something that sparkles in front of you, something that has this sort of. It's difficult to explain in words, and I think that's something that a lot of us have difficulty with, because it just feels right. It just sits with you in the right place. And I think for me, I mean, I didn't really want to. I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't want to become a doctor, but then I do want to become a doctor. But it's difficult to describe.
That's
I mean, my dad wanted to become a doctor, but he couldn't get in. He had his excuses. He was born in Iraq. I was born in Iraq myself. Or as you guys say, Iraq. I think that's how you guys say it.
Yeah, we messed up. I never heard you say it that way until you said it. Like, oh, we were saying
Iraq. What's it? What? Iraq. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he didn't quite get in, and Middle Eastern families, you've got three chances. You either become a doctor, or you become a lawyer, or you're a bit of a loser, sort of thing. Unless you make lots of money. So that's the kind of three options you have as a human being. It sounds harsh, but society's harsh. Society's harsh. And people make certain judgments, and if you come from a fairly sort of dogmatic society, it's quite limited. Obviously this is back in the 70s. Things have moved on since then, but that's the kind of environment that I was in. So I was kind of essentially pushed into sort of becoming a doctor, and I've always been pushed in areas, I think.
Okay.
You just get used to being pushed, I think. It's sort of easier for you because you don't have to think about it, because it feels more certain when you're being pushed in a particular direction. So we had to actually leave. We had to escape Iraq because my family, certain members of our family, were involved in politics, and they were against Saddam at the time. So, and Saddam didn't like my family very much because of some people who were working in politics against him. So he actually rounded up over 100 members of our family in the early 80s and executed 53 of them. This was in 1983. So obviously we had to leave the country as soon as possible.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
So that's the kind of backdrop. It sort of gives you a kind of a greater purpose, that you're actually doing something not just for yourself, but
Hmm.
for your family, and even greater, for your country, and probably even greater for your faith. So, that's the kind of levels of influence that was put on you from an early age. And it's a strong narrative, it's a strong story that sort of stays within you, and it drives you, through thick and thin. um, and it makes you very driven and very passionate about the goal that you want to get to. So yeah, we went, we escaped Iraq and went to the UK. um, and I was always driven to sort of become that doctor and to get the experience, and then go back to Iraq and help the people back home. So that was the driving force, really. My mother, is not. I mean, my dad is actually an academic, so he's a doctor of philosophy and zoology. So he went into marine biology. Um, but my family's sort of steeped in faith and religion.
Hmm.
And sort of being a doctor is a kind of, not a very metaphysical profession. It's not very um, yeah, very little to do with God and religion, really. But
Yeah. Might
so
call that.
it's like, yeah, so there's kind of, a bit of a contradiction there, and a bit of a dichotomy. And I felt that, really, because you do the science, and the science says it's all about, materialism, and it's all about the empirical world. But at the back of your mind, you know that there's more to life than just the physical world. And it's sort of bridging the two worlds, which is why I love, the name of the whole concept about your show, the middle ground, because I think that's where, I mean, I call it the battle, but it's not really a battle, but it is in a way, because you're always trying to bring the opposites together.
I get it
Uh,
because I don't have middle ground. That's how I came up the name. Like, well, yay is yay, nay is nay. So I can listen to other stuff. I'm gonna call it middle ground.
no, it's difficult. It's difficult because it's much easier to sort of point the finger everywhere else, but not at yourself. I
Mhm.
mean, you can look at others and see where they go, where they are going astray, and it's quite easy to do that. But it's much more difficult looking at yourself and accepting where you're going astray. Um, so I kind of went between extremes. So you know,
Mhm.
religious extremism and also yeah, materialistic extremism. Um, so yeah, I've always, that's always been the kind of dichotomy for myself.
So,
And also this whole thing about, Iraq, UK. I mean, it's two different cultures, two different
mhm,
ways of looking at life, East and West.
true.
Um, a country that's sort of essentially been decimated for years and years and years, and then you go to a developed, Western country. How do you, reconcile the two? Um,
Yeah, it has to be.
and like, where do you belong? Is
Yeah.
it back home? Is it in the UK? So it is lots of interesting questions there.
Now, why did you choose the ophthalmologist and psychotherapist?
Well, when I did medical school, when I was in medical school in London, um, so I managed to get into quite a prestigious medical school, and I came from essentially refugee status, and
Mhm.
I guess in the States you call them illegals. So I was kind of sort of an illegal, and then I managed to sort of get into this medical school, and I didn't really, I don't think I really fit in. It was alien to me because it was sort of middle upper class
Okay.
kids. Um, so it was a bit kind of weird for me, and I thought, well, let me just get through this and see how it goes. And then you're taught medicine in the physical and sort of medical sense, pharmacological sense. So everything had a drug, and
Okay.
sort of I had this notion that maybe healing is really important. Maybe metaphysical healing, maybe soul healing, maybe something that's sort of beyond just the physical and the medical. But that didn't really materialize. It was literally, you write this prescription, you give this drug, you do this operation. So I don't really enjoy it. I didn't really find anything that really caught my eye. And I was thinking about getting out of medicine, to be honest with you. So I finished medical school and I thought to myself, well, I don't like hospital medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really know what to do. And then I literally, out of the blue, got an interview to do ophthalmology. And ophthalmology is a kind of, it's not a real traditional hospital kind of medicine. There's not much blood and guts.
Okay.
It's sort of quite meticulous, small area surgery, very specialized. And it's a mixture of both medicine and surgery. Plus, people don't die on you, and it's kind of less stressful. The worst that can happen, people can go blind. I mean, there are certain situations where, it can escalate into a life-threatening situation, but that's very rare, thankfully. So it was kind of a way out, really. It was a way out of doing medicine.
Okay.
And it kind of just fell in my lap. I got an interview. I went to the interview. The guy that was interviewing me went to the same medical school that I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of, played that card, and that worked very well. So yeah, I mean, I found myself in this situation. I took full advantage of it, and there I was. I started a career in ophthalmology, and I've been very fortunate because it's quite a competitive field, and I just kind of fell into the specialty, really. There was no preconception or sort of pre-idea that I was going to go into this, and my passion was into this. It literally just fell into my lap, and a bit like your JLE experience and middle ground. It just sort of fell on your lap, and you took it and ran with it.
Yeah. So I did give up music for a minute. Like, came across somebody, couldn't not do it again. And
Yeah,
doing this the way I'm doing it was not the plan.
it's different for sure. Yeah. So that was like, okay, so ophthalmology is quite rare. There's not many ophthalmologists about in the world, particularly where I'm from. So I thought, well, I should maybe think about going home and helping the people. Obviously, at the time, I couldn't go because Saddam was still there.
Yeah.
And our family is kind of public enemy number one for Saddam. And then thank God that there was the ousting of his regime by you guys. So that was a real godsend.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't have dreamed in a million years that Saddam would disappear, and I wouldn't have dreamed in a million years I'd go back home, because I left in 1979.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, so that was a long time ago, and I thought to myself, well, I'm never going to get back, whatever. And in 2003, I was watching the TV, and the statue came down, and I thought, oh my God, here is an absolute godsend of an opportunity. So I went back home in 2004. I took a flight to Jordan because at the time there was no government. It was all up in the air. People thought I was crazy. How the hell would you? Why are you going back to a war zone? But inside of me, it sort of talked to me. This was the
Okay.
right thing. It was that spider sense that this is the thing that you have to do next. It doesn't make logical sense at all, and it's obviously, a crazy endeavor. So I had to go to Jordan, and then I had to cross the borders. The borders were closed. I had to get permission from the army that was controlling the borders, and they told me, look, if you go into Iraq, God knows what's going to happen. Because at the time there was,
Yeah, it wasn't settled
there
down.
was some serious stuff going on, and we had to cross through Fallujah at the time,
Ooh.
and surprise, surprise, our car broke down in Fallujah in in 2004, and it was like, right, our heads are going to be up on the stake, or the stuff that that you see on CNN. Yeah, it broke down, and then there's a pickup truck that sort of came up, and 3 guys came out. They had their AKs, and they had what are they called? Masks, sort of,
Oh,
because it was desert and sort of windy weather and so on. And we've got this thing between Sunnis and Shias. I'm a Shia myself. Fallujah's full of Sunnis, and I thought to myself, well, that's it. That's the end of me. And then they came and approached us. It was me and the driver, and they said, "What are you doing here?" And I just told the truth. I said, I'm coming. I came in through Jordan, and we're going to southern Iraq because my family's from southern Iraq. And the car's broken down. Can you help us? And they sort of looked at us. They looked at the car. They saw that we were, essentially telling the truth, because
we went left. He wasn't.
and they were like, "Yeah, sure." And they fixed the car. They took us to a sort of a derelict area where they had a big tanker, and it said some kind of stuff like U.S. Army on it or something like that. And they gave us some gas, and then they sent us on our way. And I thought, wow, all this sort of misconception and sort of prejudgments that we have in our heads, and I'm thinking, that's it. These Sunnis are gonna chop us up and feed us to the hawks. So that was quite surreal. I went and saw my uncle, who is a tribal leader, and that was quite surreal. And then it sort of gave me that, that impetus to say to myself, well, this is my purpose, to come back home and help the people in Iraq. And I mean, that's what I did. So every 6 months or so, I'd be going back between the UK and Iraq and doing operations and training the eye doctors there. And this went on for about, I did this for about 6 years.
Wow.
And then I sold up everything in the UK, and I moved over to Iraq in 2010. And obviously,
Wow.
Iraq wasn't a very stable place this whole time, and bombs would be going off, and I saw bombs in front of me, and we had dealings with different armies from different nations. But luckily, I mean, I got some serious funding from the US Army. I got some serious funding from the UK government. So
that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I have such positive experiences with the Allied forces. So I did that for 6 years. In 2010, I sold everything up in the UK, and I moved over to Iraq, and we had a couple of hospitals there. I was helping in and running, and it was kind of okay. But then, when you reach the kind of the mountain that you've set yourself that you're going to climb,
yep,
it's like,
what's next?
And it was quite, I didn't know how to react to it, because I'd never been in that situation, because you've sort of done what you've set out to do throughout your whole life, so to speak. And I was coming over to sort of becoming 40, and I guess it's that 40s thing for men. You start questioning, what your meaning is and what your purpose is, and
True.
so I was having so many questions. I have so many questions, and I was in a really bad place as well. Plus, I was losing that kind of. It's based on faith, really. I mean, that's what drove me, and I guess, yeah, you just have so many questions, and then you can't answer it, and there's a lot more sort of cognitive dissonance going on in your head, because you have a lot of deep questions which you can't really answer, or you can't really just dismiss anymore. So yeah, I mean, I had a sort of a crisis of faith, really, a loss of faith, and questioning everything, and I saw a coach, actually. I mean, a friend of mine came over from the UK, and he saw me in Iraq, and he said, "Mate, you look, you're miserable. There's something wrong with you. You need to see someone. Why don't you see a life coach?" And I thought, well, I'm not going to see a life coach. I mean, I'm this successful surgeon, and I've come from the UK, and I'm treated like royalty and like celebrity. I don't need any help. So yeah, I saw this life coach, and essentially he showed me that there's an alternative reality for yourself, and maybe this isn't for you anymore. Maybe it's something else. So that got me interested in this whole coaching and hypnosis. And so I mean, I did come back to the UK. I decided to come back. My wife was pregnant. We'd already had 2 children, so we were having our third one. And this, I thought that the situation in Iraq would get better, and it didn't. It sort of politically didn't settle down. And so this was 2012. End of 2012, I decided to come back and essentially start again. But I got really interested in this whole sphere around coaching and hypnosis, and eventually psychotherapy and psychoanalysis. And I went into psychoanalysis, which was really interesting. And that got me interested in this whole thing, that life is greater than just the physicality of the world. Because surgeons pretty much deal with bones and skin and eyes. They're not really that interested in
Y'all do.
the world of the unseen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sorry to sort of answer that question with
you good, bro. This show about you. Your journey. You good.
So that's the reason why ophthalmology and psychotherapy.
So how did you get to your podcast, Surgical Spirit?
Well, I think one of the reasons that sort of got me out of my funk and my difficulty in Iraq is I started listening to I started listening to history, actually. There was this podcast called Hardcore Histories by Dan Carlin.
Okay.
So, and he, he's not a academic historian. He's a amateur historian, but he's really interested in history. And I found it really fascinating, because I'd never really studied these things.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, wow, here's me thinking I know everything. I've got to the top. I should be happy now. I should be satisfied. I should be,
living the dream.
What's the word? Yeah, living the dream, exactly. But I'm not. So I started listening to these podcast episodes by Dan Carlin. Then I found Joe Rogan's podcasts,
Okay.
And I started listening to other podcasts, and I thought to myself, well, And then I spoke to a few friends, and they said, well, look, you're a really good listener, and plus I'm a nosy person. I like to know what. Yeah, I'm really nosy, and that comes from my mum, because my mum's super nosy, and
Oh, okay.
my yeah, my sort of feminine energy is quite high. I'm sort of quite high in feminine traits, which is neuroticism. So I do have a high level of negative emotion. So I can relate to people quite quickly who are going through negative emotions. Plus I'm quite extroverted, so I like to be in social settings, and I like to be I'm interested in other people. I guess you got to be in this kind of healthcare sector and also psychological sector. But yeah, I'm just interested, and so yeah, that's the reason why I started the podcast, out of my own therapeutic benefit from it.
Okay.
Because once you get into the heads of other people and understand what's going on in their lives, you get a greater understanding of how your life works and why you do the things that you do, and
True.
you can relate to that, and that's quite therapeutic. That's quite, it sort of calms you down, and because I'm quite high on sort of anxieties and sort of stuff like that, so I'm always finding ways of reducing my levels of anxiety. And then when you do that, the sort of other people get the same vibes as well, and it reduces their anxieties, and
Okay.
then you can have a more chilled conversation. So yeah, that's why the podcast happened. And I like to talk about non-physical stuff, spirituality and sort of spirit, and
Okay.
that kind of stuff. But also at the same time, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I guess you got to be when you're doing surgery and you're doing all this medical stuff. So it's like having,
Yeah.
I guess, the worst of both worlds. Perfectionism and and the hocus pocus stuff.
Yeah.
All that weird mumbo jumbo that they talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a skeptic, really. I'm a skeptic by nature. I'm
Okay.
skeptical of so many things, but yet I kind of believe in this kind of mumbo jumbo, unseen faith stuff. So it's kind of weird. I can't really explain it. I
Yeah.
guess it gives you, a certain level of tranquility. I think it just, you realize you can let go, and you can rely on other things rather than just yourself, because you know how unreliable yourself is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we can be. I mean,
You
someone created all this amazing stuff we look at every day. Some of it can be explained. Some of it, like, I don't know. It's somebody.
Yeah, I mean, it's done by other people, and we don't know who they are, and but it's a lot of effort. I mean, a lot of effort has gone into having the lights on. Just switching on the lights. That's such an amazing effort, and it takes so much expertise and energy and will and power. So yeah, we do rely on so many other people and so many other things and so many other unknown things. We just take it for granted.
Yeah, then pandemic make us look at that more now. That if you are able to take care of yourself, your family, you're healthy, you're really blessed. Because some people are really struggling.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got away from that. Like, I want the Jordans, I want the Benz. Like,
yeah,
oh, that really ain't that important compared to what other people dealing with, and they lost their company because of this, and they can't get it back. Like, inflation is high. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now.
yeah. There's a lot of problems there. I mean, over the last 2.5 years, 2 years, we've been working non-stop, really. And I actually fell out of love, with medicine and ophthalmology, and I wasn't really that interested anymore. I was thinking about, essentially psychotherapy and psychoanalysis, and then the pandemic happened, and then we were called back in, and I realized how important the work I was doing, whereas before I just took it for granted. And when we had to go back and do even more work, I realized how other people rely on so much of our work, and that was a blessing in
yeah.
disguise. Yeah. Whereas before I just took it for granted. I thought, oh, it's just whatever, it's just another day's work, or another paycheck or whatever. But no, over the last 2 years, I realized how important our work is, and I felt that sort of sense of gratefulness and sense of power and sense of community, with everyone, not just the local community that I was serving, but just globally. How people rely on you and rely on, I guess, a few good and positive words that you can convey.
I know the cleaning industry has always kind of have some people look down. Oh, you clean toilets, you pull trash, but in a global pandemic, if it's not sanitized, you really can't go there. So put some respect on people that clean behind you. Don't look down at them. Some people had a different perspective now because of this pandemic.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And this society doesn't work unless everyone's involved and everyone does their bit. No matter how high or low you are, we're all needed.
That's true. Now, you became a fellow author. What led you to write the book, Physician on Fire?
Well, I guess it's just I had a lot to say.
Okay.
I had a lot to say, and I had so much stuff inside of me which I hadn't expressed, and I didn't have the bravery or the guts to say these things. So it's quite a vulnerable piece.
Okay.
It's quite a personal piece, and the people that read it, who are personally related to me, they don't like the book because it's, because I kind of just get it out there. So it's caused quite a few issues, for myself in terms of difficult relationships with my family, close family members and siblings.
Oh wow.
But it was stuff that I had to get off my chest, really. When I read it now, I laugh because it's like it doesn't affect me anymore. But when you've changed,
oh yeah,
and then you sort of look back and you think to yourself, really, did I think this way? That's so childish.
But it started out. So you
but
need
the problem
to get
is, but the problem is, it's written in a book. So
yeah, bro. Yeah, when I wrote my book, like, ooh, I want the world gonna know. Well, you're telling me to write, so I'm gonna write it, Lord. All right, put it out there.
Yeah, so it was a bit embarrassing, really. I mean, when I read it now, it's embarrassing. But I mean, at the time, it was a really serious situation, and I was burnt out, and in a very dark place, and this is my way of sort of getting out of it, and sort of finding the light again. And essentially it's stories, because it's the stories that make you, and it's the stories that break you, and that's what they are, a book of stories and a book of all my failures and cock-ups. And people like to read about failures, because it makes them chuckle, and they say to themselves, oh, I'm not going to do that, this man did this, I'm never going to do that.
And you hope not.
Maybe well, of course. I mean, I don't want people to make horrendous mistakes, and pay the price. I don't think there's look, I mean, 3% of the population are psychopathic, and and they're the ones who love to see everyone fail and everyone fall into a ditch and die, and that's kind of static. 3% of the population you want to run away from, but the majority of us are decent people who are very flawed and are trying their best to sort of stay on the middle ground and keep going.
That's true. So have you come across a reader that liked the book?
I think everyone's liked the book, apart from one person. I got one person that gave me 1 star.
Okay.
But I don't know who that is because it's anonymous and they didn't leave a comment. Yeah, everyone likes the book. Yeah, of course. Just that 3% that don't like the book, I
Gotcha.
think. Well, actually, my sister didn't like the book.
Yeah, you said some of your family had an issue with it. So,
well, you see, I mean, the reason why she didn't like the book,
I
mean, the reason why she didn't like the book is because I'm quite damning of my mother, really.
Oh.
I mean, not in every situation, but in certain situations, it affected me negatively, quite profoundly, and I sort of talk about these things.
Okay.
So she wasn't too happy about that. Understandably, I guess.
Yeah, your point of view though, how you felt about it.
It's a difficult one, you see, because I mean, in our society, the mother has a sort of a sacred position.
Yeah.
So if you say anything derogatory towards the the benevolent mother, is taken very badly. But we all know that the mother can be devouring as well as benevolent. So
Yeah, we
we
all
need
make
to
mistakes.
we need to call that out.
Yeah. Parents do the best they can. So what would you
Absolutely.
say your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge is accepting more uncertainty. I like to be certain about things,
Okay.
but I think as I'm getting older, I realize that life is in the uncertainty and in the unexpected, and in that surprises that we get in life. Whether it's surprises in family or at work or in leisure, and that's where the interesting bits are. It's in that
True.
uncertainty and unexpectedness and uneasiness to a certain extent. I mean, you don't want to, totally go, in a chaotic state. But I'm learning to sort of let go of things and not be sure all the time, and just let things happen to you. Whereas before I was just a control freak, really. I had to make sure
Oh yeah.
everything was in
Yeah.
place, and my God, I couldn't switch off. That was my problem before.
Yeah, I had an issue when I was a little younger. I had to learn sometimes enjoy the moment. You ain't gotta make sure you planned it all the way out so you know every possible outcome. Sometimes just enjoy being there.
Yeah, 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 definitely. And I mean, with the podcast, God knows what's going to happen. There's two individuals, you're having a conversation, it can go anywhere, and anything can happen, which can be quite anxiety generating. But over the years, it's like, yeah, it happens, and
Okay.
yeah, we get a good outcome in the end.
Yeah. I mean, I do the show is to market, promote the person, to share their journey, then give advice to help someone else find their purpose. But if they need to clean something off their chest about something about them, hey, show's about you. What you want to talk about? And I've had some shows where they got on their soapbox on something like, "Hey, this show is about you, man. Do you or do you like it? Do you?" And last question: what advice do you have for someone trying to find their purpose?
I mean, I was going to say, don't find it, let it find you. So,
Okay.
I mean, I'd say do what you're good at, wherever it is, and work extremely hard at that you're really
Mm-hmm.
good at. And opportunities will come along. That's what's going to happen, because you become good and good. You get better and better in a particular task, which means that you're given more and more responsibilities because you get better at the job, and just keep working hard, and then more and more opportunities come along, and then the purpose comes to you rather than you going to the purpose. So, I mean, I had this idea of going back to Iraq and helping my people. I didn't know how or sort of where, but did medical school, didn't enjoy it, went into ophthalmology. That was fun. Saddam disappeared, went back to Iraq. That disappeared, went into psychotherapy. That was okay. Went back into medicine. So it's like things just happen to you. And I think if you let things happen to you, it kind of makes sense looking backwards. So planning forwards, I think the only way to kind of do it properly, to plan forward, is to make sure that you're getting better at something. I think that's something that you can do going forward, is to make sure that you're getting better every day, even if it's just 0.5% every day or 1% every day. Eventually it'll get better and better, and more opportunities come along. But we all know what we're good at. We all know there's something that we're really good at. If you double down on that, the purpose will shine forth towards you. And I think, that's worked for me. I think that's worked for me. Yeah.
That's awesome advice. Definitely appreciate you sharing your journey. Hope you enjoyed yourself on the
Yes,
show.
I did. Yes, I enjoyed myself, and I've never been on a show like this before, so I didn't know what to expect. And I think it's it's been good.
Yeah, cool conversation about you. That's the fun. With a few questions. Let's see why you do this, this, and this. What else you got going on? And I always need that advice at the end. That's you gotta give me that last question. That's like the bread and butter, because someone's gonna watch this, hear your story, like, okay, maybe I should get started in trying to figure out what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we're all good at something. Yeah, that's a good thing about not being in the middle ground. We're all like very good at certain extremes, and if you keep doing it, you end up in the middle ground somewhere. And also, I mean, one thing that helped me a lot is I kind of switched off from seeing what other people are doing. I think that helped me a lot. Always comparing yourself to other so-called successful people.
yeah, no,
Because that can be quite disheartening, and you kind of focus more on them rather than on yourself.
exactly. Only got to focus on you and your destination. Nobody else matters.
And I mean, if you've got the energy and you've got the power, you can focus on yourself and your own immediate family. And then if that works and is successful, then you can go out a bit further.
Yeah.
But once I start, just focus on myself and my immediate family, that's benefited me quite a lot.
Because you learn more about yourself on your journey. Because it's going to be a process to get, even if you get halfway to your destination, you didn't learn a lot about yourself or new skills or well, I had to tweak this or that. And if you're focusing on, well, I need to be like LeBron or someone else, you can't figure out you. They good.
Yeah. They're doing their thing, and
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. They found themselves. Um, we're all very complicated. That's the thing, and you've got more than enough work dealing with yourself, let alone
Absolutely.
trying to understand other people. So yeah, it's sort of self work. That's helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you achieved a lot so far.
Yeah, and I guess there's more to come.
Mhm.
Which is scary as well. But I mean, it's interesting because I feel that there's so much more that I can do. So that's quite reassuring, and that's quite exciting as well at the same time. That there's
Absolutely.
more to come.
Yeah, I definitely see your podcast helping a lot of people, bring engaging conversation.
Yeah. I mean, these discussions you don't really hear amongst doctors, and that's something that I mean, I enjoyed having deep conversations with other work colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
and they enjoyed having conversations with me. And once you put it out there, it sort of creates an interesting dialogue, and it allows people to have different ideas and articulate their thoughts. And I think that's really important. The more you can articulate your thoughts, the more opportunities you can create, and more new discoveries that can come about.
Yes, because I've been working to upload all the episodes I got so far to my YouTube channel, and just for a second listen to when I started out, I'm like, wow. I came a long way. They were cool show, but you just see the difference. Like, yeah, you just was winging it. Like, you didn't have a structure really. You didn't do this. Well, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and you've stuck at it. And it's made a big difference since then.
Oh yeah,
And just
season 6, amazing.
just imagine, another 5 years, what's going to happen.
Yeah, I've been mandated 1,000 episodes.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, I don't want you to get me. I work at it. But
Yeah,
I
that's
expect in
amazing.
5 years, it's going to be a network where I got other people with different topics they are passionate about, different subject matter. It's going to be global.
Exciting.
Mm-hmm. You're going to hear about me in the UK like, that's my man. I know him. You don't know middle ground. You just front like, no, I was on the show. Go pull up episode 118, season 6. Like, oh, you do know him. Like, yep, that's my dude.
Well, let's get you on the podcast. Let's get you on my podcast.
I'm down.
And we can I can listen to you.
I'm with it, man. Let me know when.
Great. I'll contact you.
Okay. Hey, I share the love, man. We gotta keep it going.
Definitely. What's your favorite sport?
Whew. Now, I would say I'll probably say more football than basketball now, because basketball, they don't bring it all the time, man. It's like you gotta wait till the playoffs for them to really play. Football is one and done, so there is no tomorrow. So you watch the playoffs, you gotta bring it or you going home.
Right.
NBA,
I mean,
they just skate through like, okay, we playing this big team on Sunday. We'll play hard then. Screw next week. Who cares? When's April? All right, let's go. Like, NBA used to be fantastic. Every game, you couldn't miss it. Because they were like, I'm going to beat you. But now, I'm down by 30, so what? I get them next time. NFL,
wow.
Every game matters.
When did it change? When was that kind of When did the
I would
change happen?
say the more the NBA probably grew in revenue to where players make more guaranteed money than what Michael Jordan them made back in the day, they've gotten a little comfortable and entitled, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I mean, Jordan was not making no $200 million contract. It was crazy when he was getting $30 million deals late 90s, but he was balling out. So now you got guys getting $200 million, and you look at their stats in the game, like you didn't check the best player, you didn't ball out, and they paying you how much? I watch this on TV. I ain't gonna watch this crap on live and pay what $1,000 for a ticket, and you ain't giving me your best effort. That's why I love Kobe Bryant. He gave it every night. And a lot of these players don't do that every night. And that used to be the NBA. Every night they giving they all. Now, 82 games. I need time off, man. My pinky hurt. Let me take 2 games. Then you see them on the sideline just throwing the ball around or whatever, a cut. Like, I thought they hurt. For real? You ain't playing? Nah, man. Maybe they get back to it at some point to really, I want to be the best, so I'm going to beat you. That's why football, because you know every game matters during the season and the playoffs.
Do they get paid less in football compared to basketball?
Yeah. I mean, they pay more to quarterbacks, but contracts are not guaranteed. The signing bonus is. So if you can get $30 million signing bonus, that's really your contract, because the chances they're going to pay you, say, 5-year, $100 million, and they pay the rest of it. Hopefully you don't start dipping in your game. You don't get hurt. You don't do nothing crazy that's scandalous where they need to get rid of you, make team look bad. So really your signing bonus is your contract. Now NBA, guaranteed contracts, them in baseball. I'll tell anybody, you want to play a sport, guaranteed contracts. You get the love and the fanfare in football, but that's your quarterback. Contracts ain't going to be no stupid money.
Yeah. So it's being comfortable and complacent is the reason why the passion's not there.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, if you're making all this money, you achieved what you've been working for.
Yeah.
But hopefully you find that hunger that I need to be the champion at the end of June, so I can talk smack. I got the money and I'm talking smack. And you starting to see it slowly come back to that. And that's what made it fantastic. I'm going to be the champ come June. Like, and you say another star player, the reporter asked him a question like, yeah, so-and-so said they plan to hold the trophy in June. Like, what? What they say? Like, I'm not nice out here. Oh, all right, we played on Wednesday. I'm going to holler at him. And you see competitive games, but now, like, everybody don't want to be the champion. I mean, they got money, endorsements. I get it, but you need to be the champ. And I like talking smack. So if I was very gifted in sport, I got to be the champ. I don't care about all this. At the end of the season, who is the top dog? Put my name right there. And that makes
Talk smack. Talk smack, huh?
You got to. When I used to play Madden, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I was horrible. If I was beating you 50-10, I'm talking so much trash. Get in the kitchen and cook me dinner. You got to go to bed at 9 o'clock because I'm beating you so bad. They were like, man, hey, touchdown. I'm not even going to look. Oh, touchdown. 60 now. Like, this dude get him a nerve. Like, stop me. But I'm still talking trash when I lose. You know, I love talking trash. I don't like people that don't talk trash only when they win. To me, that's lame. If you're going to talk trash, talk when you win it or you lose. I respect that. But if you're only going to talk when you win it, like, whatever. Me, I'm going to talk all day long. When I used to play before I got busy with other stuff, oh, man. And we used to have a thing where in the first half, you get 21 zip, that's game. So that was the point. We're not playing second half. We ain't going to sully our shoes with playing the second half. We're going to get 21 zip. Who's going to play next? You ain't gonna do that to me. I'm gonna get 3 points. No, we're gonna block your punt, get out of here, and just say, I was young now. So I really talk smack. Like, I got 35 to zip. Get out of here. Who next? I'm gonna play him again. Like, then beat him next time, 55-2. Like, okay. Do you really want to play the second half? It's 55-2. You got a safety. Whoop-de-doo. No, we're gonna play the game. Like, okay, I'm trying to get 100. I never got 100 except in a college football game. And we had, but Bill watched college football. I had, I think, Bo Jackson. My brother had Herschel Walker, somebody, old school teams. And it was literally 108 to 104 because we couldn't stop the running game. I never seen a score like that. Like, these dudes were crazy in college. But I ain't played games in a while. I'll be busy doing everything else. What sports you into?
Sort of boxing and MMA. I'm interested.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, killer.
Yeah.
I remember.
I don't know about killer, but yeah.
First came out, man. That was brutal.
Have you been to any UFC? Have you been to any UFC events?
I watched some of the pay-per-views at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's just something unnatural when you get the man down, and after 3 hits, the ref don't stop it. I'm like, dude, he can't defend it. He got 3 good hits in. Stop.
Mate,
and they just like, well, I'm gonna keep it until you stop it.
That's just smack, that's just talking smack, but physically.
Oh yeah.
It's the same thing.
Boxing, you just got him in a corner, like, you gonna stop it because I'm gonna keep hitting him. I'm like, yeah, ref, come on. Stop the fight, because he ain't even doing this no more. He just like, you gonna kill him, man. Come on, stop it. So those definitely are still the more gladiator sports of I'm gonna impose my will and everybody gonna watch me whoop you up. And oof. Yeah. I don't know how they deal with those losses because oof. It's on film.
No, I mean yeah. No, I mean, I've always enjoyed, violence and that kind of stuff. Conflict, violence.
Yeah, sports is good. Baseball, good sport.
Yeah. Well, we're always competing, aren't we? We're always in this sort of state of competition. And it's unnatural for us to kind of cooperate and work together. It's much more natural for us to compete against each other.
Even if you're doing a basic card game, you get competitive. Lose too many times, you're gonna get competitive. Like, wait a minute, you ain't gonna keep beating me. Like, and the person might not be talking smack. Y'all just playing like, wait a minute, you won 4 games, and then it gets serious. Like, it's game time. Like, but we just having a friendly. Like, nah, you beat me 4 times. Wait a minute. So we do have a competitive nature as people.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's in our nature. That's what made us survive for so long.
Yeah, that is true.
We're always fighting and competing.
Well, I definitely appreciate you being on the show. I look forward to being on your show. Have more great conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me on, and I hope it's been some benefit to the listeners.
Oh yeah, they probably might get kicked at the end part talking about sports. So I definitely want to thank ophthalmologist, psychotherapist, author, a physician on fire. Go check it out. Host of Surgical Spirit Podcast. Check that out on Spotify. Dr. Haidar, Al-Hakim, MBBS London, MRCOPHTH, SNHSDip. Appreciate you sharing your journey on the show, man.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. I'm going to send you a copy of once I get the show together.
Many thanks.
So everybody, y'all have a good day. Until the next episode.